It's that time of year again. It's the time of year where you have the right to scare the absolute bejeebus out of kids. Let's see what happens. It's 9:55 and I'm up and wide awake, and it is time to set everything up for this year's kind of, I like to call it a bit of a show, because it is a bit of a show, but it's more of an interactive show. So kind of it's a kiddie's version of a scare maze. Here's all the stuff that is going to be involved in this year's show. I'm briefly going to show you how much stuff I've got. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but trust me, there is a lot. Now, before we get the video started, if you don't want to see all the setting up and you just want to see, all the cinematics and scary stuff, then please go to this timestamp down here, because the rest of it is just all going to be set up in techie talk. Yeah. So basically, all of this down here is going to be all together. So it's just inflatables and masks and a rubber duck. Now, this is where it gets complicated, because down here we've got two massive flood. I want to call them floodlights, but they're not just exclusively floodlights. Those things, they do various different things, but I'll show you a bit later. Now, these two beams lights are what I use in my studio all the time to reflect up against the wall. So if you want to see that sort of stuff, you watch my streams. Down there is my speaker system. It's very old, very cheap, but very, very loud and good. Trust me. If you get one of those, they're made by Dell. Like, just search Dell surround sound system. You get a load of speakers with it, but I only use two. Down there is a little Halloween-y style light. Down there is a little underpowered, very underpowered smoke machine. So that's great for hazing, and I'll show you why later. We've got a very simple effects lab bubble machine down there. We've got an ADJ 24 channel scene setup, which is, I just use that daily. It's very simple, very easy to use, and you can program lights to do stuff, especially like this. So this is a very, very, very cheap Q-Spot i50 LED, I think. Then down here we've got the beast of a smoke machine. Now, I've got a couple of these smoke machines. Now, I think I'll only need one, but I don't actually know, because it depends how well the street gets smoked out, because that's the whole idea of that one, smoke the overall surroundings, and then that one is a general hazer just to go on top of that, really. So I don't think we'll need it. And then we've got this, just some very, very simple, what's this one? QTX. Now, QTX is not great if you want to prolong your life of your smoke machines to bubble machines. Don't get that sort of stuff, but it is okay. It does the job. Still lasts quite a while. A universal bubble fluid, that's just for that. And very simple. And then down here we've got some like tables, we've got some cardboard boxes. They'll all be explained a bit later. Extension leads, tripod, a massive teacup and saucer. I'll show you that in a bit. But that is overall it. Now it's just going to be setting it all up. Now, I don't know how much I can film with this, because I don't want you seeing too much of my street and surroundings and stuff. But I'm going to try and video as much as I can. Also, if you're wondering how I'm running it all, if you're techie, this is all wireless DMX. So I've got a whole bunch of these. I need to go and find them all again. No, I've only found a couple. But basically what these are is you get 5 receivers and then 1 transmitter that goes into the back of the lighting board. Very, very simple. And it saves on cables going everywhere. It's great if you don't want cables. Let's get started. So basically the whole principle of this is a Mad Hatter's Tea Party. So if you're going to a Mad Hatter's Tea Party, it's going to be mad. Hence all the inflatables and rubber duck. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hectic thing. So you're going to have the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, and then people are going to have to go and hunt for the Mad Hatter's hat. So I'm just going to be setting up the table. So we've got 2 6-foot long tables there, so making a total of 12 feet. But if we leave a bit of a gap in the middle, we might get a little bit extra. Not much, only by about a foot, but let's go and get this done. Now, as you can see, I've got the table set up. Now, I've encountered my first problem. So up here is going to be a bubble machine in front of a smoke machine, that small one that hazes, because then the bubbles get filled with smoke. Now, I've got a 2 gang. They call it a 2 gang, which is an extension lead with 2 sockets. Now, in there is another extension lead. You should never do that, just to be fair. But I also need to plug these 2 devices. Cannot do, because of how close they are, they hit each other. So I'm going to have to plug that into there. I don't know how I can do this. There is no way of possibly doing this. That's my first problem. I cannot plug that in. I've got a longer extension that go into that, then that will go. I've got too many extension leads in extension leads. Don't worry, I'm not drawing a lot of power. If you know anything about electricals, as long as you're not drawing a lot of power, there's not a huge worry about it, although you've got to keep an eye on it. That's what I heard anyway. There is a chance I could go and find another extension lead, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to find one, but I'm going to go and look anyway. Scratch that. I found a massive one. So right now we've got these beam lights which are going across the centre of the table. We've got the lighting board, which isn't actually linked up to anything currently, but I've got the moving headlight just there, and then the smoke machine right next to it. There we go. So you'll see that moving about, that little thing, which I think is really, really cool. And then I can make that do fancy effects. So the whole idea with that is that I'm gonna have that shining in the gazebo kind of at one point. I can make it spin by itself, but I don't think I'd need to do that because it's such a small space. And then just fill it with smoke, which is gonna be a lot of fun if it works. If it doesn't, it's gonna be a pain. So I have got a friend coming down at 4 o'clock, and basically we've got these remotes as well, so we can do this wirelessly, which is a lot more handy instead of having to reach for a lighting board. The lighting board is mainly just for the lights, but if we lose connection, because sometimes they're not great, right? That did a tiny little bit there. If that happens, then we can just quickly press a button on the lighting board and then off it goes. So we're never really gonna have any problems, fingers crossed, as long as we don't have a power cut or we don't trip the fuse box. So for like the last 2 hours, I've been sticking these down. And what do you mean by sticking, Sam? I mean spraying both on the individual items. Like, look, that one isn't stuck down very well, but these are. So you spray on the individual items plus on the surface that you want to stick it onto, and I am flipping covered in this stuff. You look at it. I don't know. So it is currently 4:14, so about 45 minutes before we're due to start. Now, I've got the whole table there, I've got the gazebo there. Let me show you inside the gazebo, because it is the creepiest thing. Have a look at this. It's just like, you can't, that's roughly about what the kids can see. It's just inflatables and stuff, so even if they fall over, they're not gonna really hurt themselves that much. Oh, now I've got to get my laptop, link it all up, get my costume on, and I'll be ready, so I'll see you in a little while.
Party. You see, my friend the Hatter has lost his hat. Would you like to earn some sweeties to find it?
It's in the tent.
Have a look there.
Let's look in the tent.
Go on in.
Already?
Already? Have you found the hat? Oh, the hat!
Welcome to the Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Hello.
You're here for the tea party, right?
Yes.
Why are you here then?
I know. We're here for the tea party.
I'm afraid you're late. Look, there's too many guests.
There's too many people here. It's a whole full.
One or two people.
No, the whole table's full of them. See, hello. Hello, Roger.
Their name is Elizabeth.
Anyway, I've got a bit of a problem.
We need
a bit
to
of an
take
idiot.
some people away.
Rabbit!
You see, my friend the Hatter has lost his hat. Would you like to earn some sweeties to find it?
It's in the tent. Yeah, it's in the
What
tent.
tent? That's a rabbit hole.
Oh, no, it isn't. No, rabbit,
Not down the rabbit hole.
Would you like to go find my friend Hatter? And there might be a reward.
It's in the tent.
Have a look there.
Let's look in the tent.
I don't want a rubber ducky.
Sure.
Put him back.
Give me Mr. Ducky. That's okay.
They found the hat.
We found the hat. I found the hat.
You found. Oh, you'll get it.
We both found it.